much for letting me know, Mark. This is called The Road to Happiness and Meaning. It is broken down in these 4 groups. These are the key elements that we are going to be talking about with keys for a better life: searching inward, pressing forward, looking upward, and turning outward. I love that this program emphasizes both happiness and meaning. Happiness is more in the present. Meaning includes both the future, the present. I love that it's not just chasing happiness. With this, research shows that there are 3 fundamental needs. So safety, which would include like physical, food, health, shelter, finances, emotional response. Satisfaction brings this contentment, pleasure, fun, yearning for learning, moving forward, connection. And our final one, connection that brings love. So these fundamental needs are essential in order to be able to thrive in life. With that, there are 3 types of happiness. Dr. Martin Seligman is the father of positive psychology. He gives a rush of pleasure, like the pleasant life is just like this chocolate. It could be a dessert. It's not long lasting. Then there is the engaged life. What are you good at? Your talents, your gifts, things like that in the engaged life. The meaningful life helps us find a deeper level of happiness, and by giving service, it's something bigger than yourself. It's experiencing life in the joy of the journey, not just the destination. There are 3 contributors to happiness. This is a research-based study by Dr. Sonia Leigh Bomersky on a book called The How of Happiness. It's got the 50% is a genetic set point, 10% is outside circumstances, and this is where we will be focusing on today: intentional activity, your thoughts and your actions. This is where we will spend most of the time in what we can do about the happiness. So there is a theory called the broaden and build theory. And the idea is that positive people are able to maintain a broader perspective and see the big picture, which helps them identify solutions. Whereas negative people maintain more of a narrower perspective and they tend to focus on their problems. And by the way, I'm just going to talk. If people have questions, jump in here. I will leave some time at the end for any questions as well. There's a newspaper study on positivity. This is by Dr. Richard Wiseman, who's a scholar that studied luck and the perception of good fortune. I'm going to show you a little video clip that kind of explains this. So we are going to start with the searching inward. Um, we want to talk about what, like the benefits of starting there to search inward and understand our strengths and find positives in the past and in the future. I love this analogy of the windshield and versus mirrors. You've probably seen this before. But what you focus on and how you choose to interpret your past experiences powerfully shapes your emotions, your view of life, and your overall happiness. So occasional glances in the past can give positive meaning to the present, but spending most of the time looking forward is much more productive. So there's three ways of viewing the future: dwelling on possibilities, fantasize and daydreaming, and hope. Being able to know, like in these three areas, about 85% of the things people worry about never happen. Of the 15% that do happen, 79% handle the difficulty better than expected, which is pretty amazing. The power of the mind. I love this slide. Your mind is what you spend your time watering is what is going to grow. So the quality of your life depends on the seeds that you actually water. And again, with our minds, as we are focusing on those things, what things do we allow our mind to focus on in order to grow? The seeds that are watered frequently are those that will grow strong. So in our program, we hand out these books for free. Everything is free on our website. And you sign up and you get this manual. And we do little activities in a program. This is called Living True to Your Four Core. So um, we won't have time to do this here, but taking the time to kind of analyze what your four core are, to be able to consider what is most important in your life and what things you would want to be remembered and known for. So the law of little things, we want to be able to celebrate the small wins. Like, are we stuck on cruise control? Think of it as starting to rain going down the path. You've probably all seen like a big pile of dirt. And when the rain comes, it just follows that path of least resistance. So celebrating small wins as you try something new to rewire the brain. That is one thing I have loved learning about, is the ability to rewire our brains and the ability to move forward, because I'm a big proponent of change and being able to be intentional in our lives, overcoming that law of least effort. So it's important to point out that a couple of obstacles or road hazards that you may encounter on your road to happiness. And again, you'll hear me do like these little analogies of that road. When we compare our lives and journeys to others, it often robs us of happiness and joy. The word searching inward is used intentionally. I teach quite a bit in the high schools. I teach a smart dating class called How to Avoid Falling for a Jerk or Jerkette. And it's very interesting because with social media, and I'm sure many of you are aware that the Surgeon General has come out with reports on, social media and specifically the comparison that is going on. So we want to search outward and turn inward as our journey becomes a road of unhappiness and selfishness. So Alex Korb has written a book called The Upward Spiral. And again, this is similar to what we talked about before with the broaden and build theory. In a complex system like the brain, even a little shift can change the whole system. So think about the weather. You might have forecast for rain, but then the wind changes the direction and the humidity drops. by just 1%, and then it's sunny again. So in a similar way, all of these things, so gratitude improves sleep, sleep reduces pain, reduction of pain improves mood, improved moods improves focus and planning. Focus and planning help with decision making. Decision making improves enjoyment. Enjoyment gives you more to be grateful for. So being able to have this upward spiral. By the way, Dr. Dave Schramm, who is the curriculum director of this information, he says that as far as depression goes, this is probably his very favorite book with working with depression. Our next area is pressing forward, not giving up, because on that road, we are going to have bumps and detours, but refusing to give up and being persistent and patient through stress, crisis, and challenge. I love the word anti-fragile. I am constantly telling my brain when I go through hard things that I want to be anti-fragile, that I want to be resilient and press forward. The benefits of a happy brain include these: 3 times more creativity, 31% more productive, energy increase, intelligence rises, accuracy improves, higher satisfaction, less sickness. So just as too much stress and anxiety can limit our ability to think, when our brains are positive, it can create this, it fuels happiness for success. So choosing your mindset, the human brain receives 11 million pieces of information every second from our environment, from what we see, smell, hear, the urge to check your phone. Most of those bits of information are filtered by our subconscious. With that information, we can choose what we focus on. We are actually wired to focus on threats for our safety and our relationships. So because our mind, it's just like that fight and flight, we've got to work on not on our brain so we can go away from the negativity into the positivity. I won't take time to show you this little clip, but this will be in the PowerPoint, talking about how we are wired for negativity. Okay, so we're wired to focus on these 3 things. It is called intentional mindful awareness. So similar to pleasure, brain research has shown that a rush of dopamine is released when we have a fresh experience of any kind. So science suggests that mammals, especially humans, naturally prefer novelty if there's not a perceived threat. But again, our brains are constantly scanning for things that are out of place. So I love this, the research on stress. I want you guys to ask yourself, how much stress did you experience in this past year? And do you believe stress is harmful for your health? So much is the perception. And again, I've got this, the research shows that those that did had a 43% increase in dying the next year, which is crazy. But that was only true for those that believed that stress was harmful for your health. So I'm not going to take time to show this. This is an awesome TED Talk. I'll just kind of summarize for a minute here. So this top circle with the thick red right here, I don't know if you guys can see my cursor or not, but when our heart rate goes up, our blood vessels constrict, and it can make that stress very unhealthy over time. When our blood vessels are relaxed, then it makes it so that stress and that tension is not building up. What is fascinating to me is oxytocin is actually a stress hormone. So when we reach out to others, it actually creates this connection with this oxytocin, and it can regenerate and heal our heart. So when we're going outward rather than pulling inward, it is actually creating the biology of courage and resilience. And I would 100% recommend that you guys listen to that little or watch that little slide on making stress your friend. It is fascinating, and I love that. Okay, the science-based backed happy hacks. Science reveals that real happiness and joy result from small things done often. It's the small changes over time that create a change. So, for example, you can't have one crazy high fat meal. That's not going to necessarily make you unhealthy by having one, just like you cannot have a spinach smoothie and expect your health to transform in one day. So it's these small changes done often that make such a difference in our life. So, number one, humor. Humor relaxes the whole body. In fact, I think I might be okay. I'll show this video clip. Okay, I love that because humor is contagious. Um, Next, mindfulness. Mindfulness is about slowing down and paying attention to the present moment on purpose without judgment. Rather than letting stress or anxiety like wreck you, being aware of your feelings. My daughter has just been hired by Davis Behavioral Health to go into the elementary schools to teach the students, the sixth grade students, how to breathe. That's where we are at in society. How do we breathe? How do we do these things? And are we able to be mindful? I do have a video clip that we won't take time to do now, but this is a little mindfulness strategy on relaxing the whole body and how it boosts your immune system, triggers and releases endorphins, releases pain, improves sleep, social bonds, protects the heart by increasing blood flow in it. So, hey, exercise or movement, either way. Um, Getting up and moving produces endorphins that act as painkillers, reduces adrenaline and cortisol, improves sleep, boosts focus, meditation, all of these things protecting our heart and being able to help us in that journey. Okay, the pursuit of happiness. The happiness pie we looked at earlier suggested that only 10% of the difference in one person's happiness and another is due to outside circumstances. That includes the stuff we buy. Trying to buy lasting happiness is like trying to keep our hands full of water. It may last for a little while, but it turns out to be fleeting. I reached out to my son this morning about some Christmas gifts for his children. And as we were communicating about that, we both came to the conclusion that they basically have too much stuff. And what they want is time, time to be with their grandparents, time, I mean, that pursuit of happiness is so fleeting. So, with our happy hacks, this is one of my very favorites. If you were told there was going to be a magic pill that would act to take care of all of these things, I'll let you guys read that list as it's coming up. I would say this is probably the one area that has been the most impactful on me since well, it was 3 years ago, June, since I started doing this. It has made a huge difference in my life. So, any guesses on what that magic pill would be?
Sugar.
So, let me tell you, gratitude. Gratitude is essential. It's not only the greatest of virtues, but it's the parent of all others. So, Robert Emmons is one of the leading scholars on gratitude and has written some great books on the topics. He defines gratitude as a sense of wonder, thankfulness, and appreciation in life. When I was trained on this 3.5 years ago, I had never done a gratitude journal. And I absolutely agree with the magic of a gratitude journal. It has made such a difference in my life. I have a little app on my phone that allows me to take pictures of things I'm grateful for. And then I just do a quick little summary of the day of things that have happened for me. And I have pictures on my phone of running water, of my washer and dryer, of my feet, of things that I kind of never really thought of before. And it just makes my brain scan for the good in life. It is essential for our immune system too. Don't think we have time on that. This is an experiment talking about gratitude. Love it. And the power of gratitude. And I'm sorry, you guys, that we're just jumping. As you can tell, I'm so passionate about this. I just want to give it all to you guys, but it's such a huge program. So I'm just trying to hurry through so you guys can have a taste of the things we do a deep dive into. This is another activity we do about three things I'm grateful for three things I hear, I see, I smell, I touch, I feel, I taste. It could be animals, it could be friends, any of these teachers, and writing them down and taking the time to do that, especially as you think, we're going into that Thanksgiving next week and being able to be filled with that gratitude. It is just feeding of our souls. Um, Here are some go-to gratitude hacks: 3 good things, happy thoughts, top people, experiences, writing a gratitude letter, or doing a visit. These things will help fuel us and fill us with that clarity. It makes a huge difference. Again, this is an activity we do about the people, places, experiences, and things, writing down 10 areas. Great TED Talk. Gratefulness is the key to happiness that we hold in our hearts, because if we are not grateful, then no matter how much we have, we will not be happy because we will always be wanting something more. Repetitive complaining will attract you to things to complain about, whereas the opposite is true with gratitude. Um, and we tend to notice and find what we are looking for. So when we wire our brains to look for the positive, that's what we will find. Okay, our next hack, doing a kind act produces the single most reliable momentary increase in well-being of any exercise we've tested. So random acts of kindness, such a powerful boost of mood to be able to do something to serve, because everyone wins with these random acts of kindness. I'm looking at my time, not sure I'm going to be able to show that. This is a great little clip on random acts of kindness that I would encourage you guys to watch. Smiling is contagious. It has to do with the mirror neurons in our brain. We tend to mirror other people's facial expressions and even body posture and hand movements and their tone of voice. So adults, um, interestingly, only smile like about 20 times a day, whereas children smile an average of 400 times a day versus adults. So being able to have that, that freedom to just enjoy life is huge. It is such a superpower. Dr. Schramm threw that in to make us smile. Um, there's even it even talks about the suggestion of the levels of dopamine can be equal to, this is a British researchers that have talked, one smile can generate as much dopamine as, he suggests 2,000 bars of chocolate, and you don't even get the calories. So it's a powerful thing to be able to smile. Um, Again, another video, how smiling improves our mood. Um, the with the 3 pillars of health, movement, fuel or our diet, and sleep. This like would be the first thing that, as if you went into the doctor, the 3 pillars of mental health, they're going to ask, do you exercise? What's your diet like? What's your sleep? This is related to the upward spiral. Making sure we're taking care of ourselves in these areas, huge. Hey, starting your day in a positive way. What you do in the first 10 to 30 minutes of your day can make a difference of your entire day. So things like, watching negative news in the morning, it can lead to a 27% decrease in having a bad day. Whereas when we start our day in a positive way, it can lead in such a wonderful increase in helping us find purpose and meaning in our life. So here's some suggestions. You'll notice scrolling on your phone for 45 minutes is crossed out. So another characteristic of happy, positive people that involve turning outward is serving, lifting, and helping others. It can be from spiritual worship to volunteering by giving blood, serving refugees or homeless, um, joining a political cause, your parent-teacher conferences or associations. Putting My daughter-in-law always puts out water and snacks on their front porch for the Amazon people. I mean, just there's so many ways to serve, lift, and love as we watch for those. Transcendence, awe, and inspiration. Being able to step back and look at the sky, look at how the world is so much bigger than we are, looking upward and experiencing these things. I was in Island Park about a month ago, and I was staying at a cabin along a river, And I noticed the geese were flying south for the winter. And it was just beautiful to think how that, just how nature just takes over, being able to notice those things and build that. Belonging matters. We think back at those three essential needs, safety, satisfaction, and connection. So much of that is that connection part, being able to belong to a group. Um, this is huge in mental health. Nearly 40% of the increase of suicide rate has been attributed to the decline in religious service attendance. So this is interesting, like being able to belong to a faith that can really have a huge impact on increasing our happiness. Um, Again, both the happiness and meaning parts of this. Happiness on this side, the gratitude, kindness, flow, smiling, exercise, movement, diet, sleep, positive mornings. But then over on the meaning side, because we want to be able to have both the happiness and the meaning, we've got purpose, serving, transcendence, awe, belonging, and faith. So our last area is this turning outward. It relates with connecting with others, which is one of the three essential needs. So this is, I don't know how many of you are familiar with this Harvard study of adult development. Excellent it's the longest study of adult life ever. There is a book, I want to say it's called The Good Life. A great, great book on what creates a good life. They took two groups, half from Harvard University, um, half from Boston's poorest neighborhood. I'm going to go ahead and show this video clip. I love it. Okay. There's been an epidemic on loneliness. Loneliness raises blood pressure to the point where the risk of heart attack and stroke is actually doubled. I get so concerned when I'm in the high school and I see the students that are just as soon as class gets out, they're sitting by themselves on their phone. We are in a very difficult time with technology and avoiding those friendships. Again, another little clip on what makes a good friend. Um, these are 10 qualities of a true friend. I'll let you guys read that. Even I like this one, calls you out. I ran a 5K a few years ago, and I'm not a runner, and a friend of mine convinced me to do it. And she went ahead and finished the race, and I could see her at the finish line, and she was yelling something at me. And I thought she was yelling, "Good job, way to go." But instead, she was pushing me to run faster. And I love that because a quality of a true friend, they are going to want the best for you. Again, bids for connection. Um, examples of bids for connection are invitations to get together, attempt and engage in conversation, complaints, requests for advice, offers gifts, and playfulness. With these bids for connection, I don't know if how many of you are familiar with John and Julie Gottman. They are the leading researchers for at marriage classes. We have been so lucky the last year and a half. We have a course, The 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work. It is golden. I have been married 41 years and I have learned so much from taking this class. So, and again, all of these classes are free, but they talk about what a bid for connection is all about. How we connect. Um, 3 ways we can either turn away, turn against, or turn toward. Being able to connect in healthy ways makes a huge difference. Examples of bids, invitations to get together, complaints, offer of gifts, attempts to engage in conversation. All of these things are good to seek to have that bid for connection. And I won't show that. Again, when someone wants to connect, they talk about roots and fruits. So as we spend our time with the roots, then what happens as that relationship grows, it creates the fruits. So focusing our time in these areas with the roots can be so powerful. Watering that through these different ways. And again, this is an activity we do that is very powerful. 8 gifts for closer connection. Gifts can help us feel loved and appreciated. We've talked about these needs. These are 8 gifts that researchers show that actually can strengthen connection, specifically with romantic connections. So that was the program coordinator that came up with that. This is Dave Schramm. Some of you may have heard him on KSL. He does a program with Liz Hells. So communication and conflict, it's less about skill, more about will. And going back to living true to your core values is huge. I love this roadblocks to relationship, being able to understand what those roadblocks are and being able to think about what those obstacles are in our life. One big one, digital distraction is huge right now. Calling it technoference in our relationships. These are all pictures, you'll notice that they're at the restaurant, they're eating food. I mean, we see it all over the place with our phones. Avoiding the tech wreck, 88% agree technoference is a big problem in our society. 45 say technology is a big problem in their marriage. So healthy relationship boundaries, asking permission, considering feelings, honesty, being open-minded, give space for autonomy, respect differences, accept emotions, accountability, accept help, understanding, and offer compassion. Being slow to judge and quick to love. This is an example of a dog that we can see that he can go around this pickleball court, but the dog can't see it. Sometimes we just get blinded by what's right in front of us. Being able to, not judge someone, because sometimes it's just we only see a little bit of what they're carrying. In our relationship, we often create burdens that we blame. Yes, I can tell you that. Thank you for that. No, these are on healthyrelationshipsutah.org, and maybe Mark can send that out to the group as well. I love this story. This is a story about two monks who had taken an oath never to touch a woman. They came across this path, and there was a swift river, and there was a woman that was struggling in the river to cross and was about to be swept away when one of the monks went and picked up the woman and carried her across to the other side safely. The other monk was very angry with his friend that had picked up this woman, and they walked in silence for a couple of hours. And then he couldn't help it himself. He turned around and said, "Why did you pick up that woman?" And he said, the monk that picked her up said, "I put her down 2 hours ago. Why are you still carrying her?" And so asking ourselves, what is weighing us down? What are we still judging? What are we carrying? Taking the higher road. Have we been hurt by someone else that we love and trust? I mean, being able to let it go is actually such a gift, to be able to, for ourselves. Most relationships at some point, we will experience hurt and sadness and confusion. It's huge, but there is freedom in forgiveness. Forgiving others not because they deserve forgiveness, but because you deserve peace. Love that quote. When we ask ourselves, I just didn't spend enough time, or I spent too much time. Being able to sit back, how do we want to spend our life? And then finally, the keys for a smoother ride are, oops, sorry, that kind of jumped. Okay, keys for a smoother ride. Our choices. Remember that happiness pie again. We don't have control over others or our circumstances. It's focusing on what we have control over. And finally, our 4 areas, keys for a smoother ride: searching inward, pressing forward, looking upward, and turning outward.